What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about NIO. I want to go over some of the data points, what's moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So NIO is up 0.52%, 754 the low, 790 the high, and you're seeing kind of low volume, so 39.5 million shares being traded, 100 is the average. So it's not just NIO though today, it's pretty much across the board. The whole shutdown type of scenario threw a lot of people off, and then at the same time the market just rallying because of relatively good data. American data is again just kind of throwing a wrench into everything, but nonetheless, in NIO's case, the reason why it is moving is because of the monthly numbers. So they did put this out. So NIO provides September and third quarter 2025 delivery update. So 34,749 vehicles were delivered in September, an increase of 64.1%. The 3 months ending September 2025, 87,071 being delivered. Breakdown of that though is 13,728 for NIO. You do have 15,246 for Envo, and then 5,775 for Firefly. In general, I'm pretty happy with this. Coming from an analyst standpoint, the expectations were between that 87 and I believe it was 90. So kind of putting it the middle ground about 89. So maybe it might have been 91. So nonetheless, midpoint being 89,000. So NIO coming a little bit short. It's one of those stupid things in Wall Street that it's fairly good numbers, showing that they are improving. Of course, NIO did mention Q4 is going to be massive for them, but it came short of just expectations. So in reality, I feel like NIO should be significantly higher. At the same time, NIO is also flirting with that dreaded 760 range. So it did have that nice spike first thing, but again, the technicals I think are playing a little bit of a self-restraint, if that kind of makes sense. Aside from that, there really hasn't been all that much in really updates or speculative topics that I haven't brought up in a previous video. Shorts, they are returning about 63,000 shares now. 11.27% of the free flow is being shorted. Works out to be 155.97 million shares overall being shorted. So when it comes down to shorts, I've brought this up in the past that if they really felt these numbers were horrific, they could easily double down, because it is fairly cheap to short NIO. Not promoting it or anything, but you do have in excess of 10 million shares available as well. So if shorts, like I said, really felt that NIO, the numbers that they put out were horrific, they could easily double down, but they're not. So again, I see this as ultimately relatively optimistic. So once again, kind of the process of elimination shows that the technicals are one of the biggest attributing factors for this. Looking at the options, 8.72 million in calls, 1.3 in puts, 47% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. So as NIO was kind of getting dragged down a little bit first thing, you did have most of the bullish options being done. So looks like big money was kind of buying the dip through options, which is always good. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 8 to 850 by the end of this week. So still a lot of optimism that there's going to be a recovery. And one thing as well that I've brought up in previous videos is Elliott Wave Technicals is projecting for NIO to hit in the short term $9.13, as long as it can hold and stay above that 623, that key pivot. And so far as well, there hasn't been any new analyst ratings. So most likely after hours today or sometime today, you'll have some ratings posted, or possibly tomorrow. So again, that could be one attributing factor what really moves NIO tomorrow. Aside from that, from a bear standpoint, there's a consensus for it to be sub 750. So definitely a lot more upside is anticipated. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market. So in my opinion, I think it's just algos. That's kind of the biggest thing why NIO is going down. But if you actually read this data, it goes to show that big money's actually buying NIO up. So you do have two transactions that are sells, one for 148, other one being 156,000. Everything else is buys. And this is why I like to analyze a lot of the data, right? because if someone just took and looked at the chart for face value, they would think that there's something wrong with NIO, but it's actually just algos that's causing pretty much all of this. And first thing, a little bit associated to shorts, but big money, if based on this, is actually buying NIO. So clearly they like those numbers. These are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool above $100,000. So definitely a lot of big transactions here. Dark pool is often enough used by shorts and hedge funds. So again, hedge funds buying into NIO is definitely good. We are officially in Q4 as well, so most likely all the rebalancing has officially concluded. This is why you did see a lot of abnormal transactions during the after hours yesterday. So again, interesting kind of stuff. I already brought that up in my video yesterday though, but with it right now at 767, it is trading between these 2 points. So this R2 and this R1. So 751 is going to be a strong support, kind of bounce off of that general area. So we know going forward, that's a good support level. Flip side, 772 and then 807 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. And honestly, I think it's just a matter of time before NIO officially just breaks out and does not look back. I think right now it's just keep struggling with this damn R2, and so far we haven't tested this R3 just yet, but I can imagine there's going to be a lot of heavy resistance at that stage as well, because around that $8 range you'll have just market makers and shorts really not wanting NIO to get above that 8 point, and that'll be linked to the options. So I'll kind of talk about that a little bit more on my Thursday Friday video, because that'll be a little bit more relevant. Aside from all of that fun stuff on the actual chart, you see a lot of willing buyers right here, and so today it's just kind of slowly moving higher. So we're not seeing any crazy moves like a 30% move or anything, but it is slowly and steadily moving higher. And I would much rather see this than crazy just rockets that has happened in NIO's past. Whenever it just rockets higher, they're sexy, they're fun and exciting, but it's not really good or healthy on a technical standpoint. This is why in NIO's case in the past, every time it's gone through that type of like push higher, it always falls down because it doesn't create good support levels. Whereas what has recently happened is very calm, controlled for the most part. And I think generally all the gaps have been officially filled. So NIO can really just move higher from here. No real articles really coming out associated to NIO. Like I said, that I haven't brought up in previous videos. So I think it's just the technicals and just people interpreting NIO's numbers. In my opinion, I actually like them, even though they did fall a little bit short from analyst expectations. I think analysts are just dumbasses, most of them overpaid Wall Street clowns that just are just, I don't know, they don't really know anything. And this is why at the same time when NIO starts to finally move higher, that is where they start to up a lot of their price targets. They're always behind the gun. So at the end of the day, I think just NIO is going to be having a very exciting rest of the week, and most likely you could see a significant push higher. So let me know your general thoughts on NIO in the comments below. What is your actual viewpoint on, for instance, NIO's numbers and everything else? The next thing for them to do is just announce the date of their actual upcoming earnings. So that one could be a potential good catalyst. And I think historically speaking, it should be, I believe it is the second week of November usually. So first or second week of November. So that could be potentially the next big catalyst that pushes it to double digits. But let me know your general thoughts on that. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and take a look at that. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.